In the recent days, I saw many questions on X. Should I learn Tailwind in 2024 or should I go with a different framework? And if you are new to the web development, you probably asked yourself the same question. In the recent weeks, we also saw quite a big hype around SCSS. So this is another reason why you should take a look into Tailwind, because SCSS is basically using Tailwind as their CSS framework. But what about alternatives like Bootstrap or Modules CSS? So Bootstrap is quite a big component library and it's still growing in popularity. It's out there since many years. I think it was 2011. So it's already around quite a long time and many websites basically using it. So the problem with Bootstrap is that it is very opinionated. It can be a good or a bad thing. If your designers are using Bootstrap and you can just use the components as they are, it's like perfectly suited.
Nice.
But if you have to create a really custom UI, it's very hard to create these components with Bootstrap. So if you are alone or can use Bootstrap, it's quite nice to use, but if you have like really custom UI, it's probably not worth using. In the end, it will take you more time to bend all the components to like your need. But on the other hand, you can also write all of the CSS yourself with Less or SCSS or Modules CSS. And this is also like a really valid option. I, for myself, use Tailwind for nearly 1.5 years regularly. I really appreciate it. It is framework independent, so you can use it with React, Vue, Svelte, Elm or Van.js, as in the example we take a look in a moment. If you are not subscribed yet, 98% of my viewers are not. I highly appreciate your comments and try to answer all of them. If you learned anything from this video, please let me know in the comments or give me a thumbs up. So yeah, let's take a look. So as I said, SCSS is quite a hyped product at the moment. It's basically a component library that is injecting the code into your source code, so you don't depend on SCSS, you just inject the code in your code base. And as we can see the components here, and you can directly see the code. You can copy it over yourself or you just use the CLI. Yeah, and it uses Tailwind, as we can see, W4, it's a Tailwind class. And on the other hand, or on the other side of the spectrum, we have Bootstrap. It is basically class-based. You import the elements and it will style them for you. It uses JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. It's a bit more opinionated and a bit more strict. You have quite a lot of elements, but your websites will basically look all quite similar or the same. So if you use Bootstrap in your website, it will basically look quite similar to others. Not sure if I am a big fan of it. I use it from time to time, but to be honest, I try to avoid it as much as possible. And then we have Tailwind. They have also component libraries. You can basically buy components if you are interested in it, or you can style them yourself. And as we can see here, you have these class names you can add and they will style your components. And they also give you some examples. They have quite a lot, but they don't have components. They have just styling for components. You have to create your button yourself, but as we see in a moment, it's quite simple. The alternative is writing the style yourself. As we can see here, we can have like styles CSS. In this case, it's a module. And you can just write CSS yourself. So we have like hello world with a red border and we have a button that has like a background in blue. And if we want to change it, we can just say, okay, we want to have it green. And we see it's green. The issue with that is if we use, for example, colors, usually use hex colors, right? So if we use a hex color here, like FF000, it's yellow, but we need to use this hex color all over the place. So the next best solution would be to use SCSS. So basically you can have imports. So if we want to have variables, we can say, okay, our background color is yellow and our primary color is red. And we see our whole background is yellow and the primary color for the borders is red. And if we want to change this yellow, for example, to another color, we can easily change it. This is basically done through imports. So you import the variables and can use it then. But still you need to define these variables you use then all over the place, but it's some kind of already framework, and you can basically achieve the same as with Tailwind. But still, if I see the code, purely the code, I see, okay, this div has the div style and this button has the button style. But if I want to see what exactly is the button style, I need to go to the respecting modules, SCSS, look for the button style, and then I see, okay, this is my button style. On the other hand, if we use Tailwind, it definitely makes the file a bit more cluttered. So as we can see here, we will import Tailwind, and then we can see the result. We have the blue button with the white text and green background. As we can see, we have here defined the background in green, and we said, okay, this div should be the height of the screen. Basically, you learn these classes once and can use them everywhere all over again. And as we can directly see here, okay, the div is a flex, it's in a raw, and the elements are justified in the middle or centered. And they have a gap of 2. As we see here, the flex is raw, and we can change it to column, and we see it is below each other instead of next to each other. So if we have raw, it's next to each other. If we change it to col and as raw, it's definitely a bit more cluttered, but you see inside the code how the elements will look like. For example, we have here the blue 500, we can change it to 200, and it will change the color. They also have, like on their color palette, it's very nice colors. If we take a look at the colors, they are really good selected. You see all the different nice colors. For example, lime 500, you can use it like very easy, lime 500, and the button has this nice lime color. Also, if you want to change the theming, it's very easy because you can just add dark lime 500 and on the other hand maybe BG red 500. So in this case it's in dark mode because my laptop is in dark mode, so it will be lime. Also, it will only include like the needed CSS. So if you build the whole thing, it just takes what is needed. So in the end, your CSS may be smaller than if you write it yourself, because usually what you do if you write the CSS yourself, you add like the display flex here, and on another state, you also add display flex. So you have multiple elements where you add the same class, and you don't create these general classes yourself. You just write the CSS inside here. And if you then use the elements, you have a very repetitive CSS. In Tailwind, you add like the flex element there, and then it will add the flex class. Yeah, one thing to note is that it is read from left to right. So if you write text red 500 and then text blue 500, the text will be blue and it will not throw an error. So this is like quite important because sometimes you have quite a lot of CSS classes on it, and then you like get confused because you add flex and then later you may write grid, and then in the end it is a grid instead of a flex and you don't know why. This is because it's read from left to right. In conclusion, for me, it's highly worth using Tailwind CSS. It makes you not jump between files too much. You learn these CSS utilities once and can use it all over your projects again. So you get really fast used to the naming. For example, if I take a look in my older source code, I see flex, flex raw. I know exactly that this will be display flex and yeah, in a raw, instead of it has a class that says, okay, this is like the styling for the div element. And then I need to go to the CSS and take a look what is exactly written down there. Yeah, all in all, for me, it's highly worth learning in 2024 if you didn't use it yet. If you already use it, let me know what you enjoy the most about it, and see you next time.